let's get to it.
Right. Aloha, everyone. Michelle Melendez with StandTogetherHawaii.com and Blossom Inner Wellness. I'm super excited today because I get to interview again State Representative Ellie Cochran, our Hawaii State Representative, and we have some news for you. It's really interesting. We're kind of confused about what's happening. There's a session announces field hearing in Hawaii on federal response to Maui wildfires, but yet our state representative hasn't been invited, and we're just a little bit confused about what this is and what's going on. So Ellie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you again for always having me, Michelle, and jumping on the issues of the day because it's a constant bombardment of issues. But I think this is a really big one in the sense that the federal government, this oversight, Congressional Oversight Committee, is having a hearing tomorrow. And so in my mind, when I read the big e-blast from the county, it's happening here at Lahaina Civic Center in our social hall, which is a very small venue. So it's all our meetings have been in the big gym that holds hundreds. The social hall holds maybe 100 or so. I don't know, maybe a couple hundred, but it's way smaller. So it's like, wow, this big congressional thing, and it's in the smaller room. Like, why? And then it's like you read it, and it says, here's the panel, all the big Congress people, and then it has a second panel called witnesses, which are some members, different groups from Lahaina, state level. So and the mayor of Maui County type second panel as witnesses. Like, okay, what is that? And it's like public can submit your comments, testimony, questions, whatever via a link. It's like, where's the link? And this is not a forum. This is a hearing, not a public forum. Okay, so what does that mean? These people are going to show up at the Civic Center, be panelists. The public can be in the room and observe and not speak, or the public can only view via online. I called media because there's a section that says media, click here. I clicked on it and it says RSVP. So I RSVP'd as the elected official of the area. Haven't heard an answer, but I called media. They're like, I'm confused too. I'm not sure how this works. And I, just before we started videoing, I called back the paper, and they're like, we still haven't heard back from the communications department from the county. So they're
Wow.
still not quite sure how it's going to work even for the media. So I don't know. I would like it to be open to the public. We interact. We get a breakdown, a reporting of sorts. Because here's what I was told. This hearing was actually scheduled before the fire. And it was the Oversight Committee, Jeff Sessions, somebody or other, who was looking at their FEMA, federal's involvement with Hurricane Ian in Florida, the aftermath, trying to figure out all the things that they learned, lessons learned from that disaster, and then cross-referencing it to Lahaina and the fire, the aftermath. We're over a year later. How has FEMA, what has FEMA done in lessons learned from Florida? So that's what I'm understanding this hearing is supposed to address and talk about. So, yeah, let's talk about that. I got a lot to say about FEMA and its involvement here in our town, and a lot of big glaring questions, a lot of big what the hell happened on a lot of levels. So I would love to be someone who could sit in the public audience and express these, concerns and ask questions and have answers in real time back to me and the community, because I'm here as the voice of my constituents, which are people of Lahaina, not just myself as a resident, lived all my life in Lahaina person, but as my constituents.
That's
I am
right.
so I have to wear two hats, and I'm speaking as two hats, basically at all times. Really, it's really hard to separate. But that's what I do. And I'm like, how am I not invited to this table? I'm like,
Who is putting this on? It says Maui Recovers.org. Who are these people that are putting this on?
well, it's coming down from the federal government who's having this hearing. And again, I'm not really sure. Is it all because when you go and click on to the government website, their meeting for this hearing is at 4 p.m. So obviously that's 4 p.m. ahead in DC time. So 10 a.m. Hawaii time, 4 p.m. is DC time. So I'm deducing that the federal people will be in DC,
Yeah.
like on Zoom or whatever the big online venue at 4 p.m. While we here in Hawaii at 10 a.m. Will be doing this, the local panel at the Lahaina Civic Center. You know what I mean?
In the
I don't
smaller
know.
room.
I don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, are there going to be jumbotrons with the Congress people, like they're sitting here with us, but they're literally in DC being aired, and then and then we have the local panel in person sitting at a table, and they're having this hearing where we just sit in the audience and sort of observe. I don't,
Without
I
asking
don't know.
questions.
I don't
So
know, but you have to send them ahead of time via some link that you can't even find what the link is on that that site, whatever.
okay, so you can submit your question, but it's hard to
It
find where to
says,
submit it.
yeah, it
Yeah.
says, and so that's why I clicked on the media link in there. At least it's going to somebody running the show. So that's where I put my comments. I just, one, yeah, I RSVP'd as the elected official, but two, I sent in my comments about what is this? Where are you? How do we interact? The public's asking, that's where I put my some kind of communication through. I don't know who it's going to. I don't know who's going to answer it. And
Wow.
I just,
So
it's,
let's talk about let's talk about some of this. It announces a field hearing in Hawaii on federal response to Maui wildfires. What are your comments? I'd love to hear what your comments are and a little bit more about how you feel about how FEMA did with this emergency, this disaster, this, in my opinion, attack on the American people and on Lahaina and Maui.
yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I think for them, their take home should be, I don't care what town, what state, country you come into, to assist with the disaster, whatever it is, research who you're dealing with. Research the languages being spoken in that town, county, whatever. Research the cultural, the cultural aspects of the people who live in the town. Because they came into Lahaina and, majority of the people affected are Ilocano, Filipino speaking people. So when these federal bigwigs walk in with all this legalese jargon and big words, and I mean, English is their second language. They cannot understand these forms you're making them fill out. All this talk and whatever, very and so it went over their heads and a lot, not their fault. But if there was a translator, and I asked and asked and asked for days and weeks on end, nothing came. We have them now today, great, but we're a year later. So at the time, if they would have researched who the demographic of people they'd be dealing with, they wouldn't just have had I guess they had, I think, Spanish, but most of those people were from Puerto Rico, so they already were Spanish speaking FEMA people. And they had I think maybe they had yeah, they think they had Spanish and but they really needed to have Tagalog sorry, they needed to have Ilocano in particular, not really Tagalog, because not majority of Filipino speakers are not Tagalog here. So and anyways, that was one of my bigger picture things if they ever do work in other places. All I ask are three things, I guess, and it's about I need federal dollars because all eyes are on us and federal monies are needed on these two huge projects, I believe, are for health and safety of Lahaina and its people. One, we already had a video on this in Lahaina bypass.
Yeah.
Okay, so that really needs the federal government to buy, to assist us with. So to get that back on the drawing board, to have their assistance in funding, and to really work with us all, federal, state, county levels. The other, and nobody's been talking about this, is the Lahaina Flood Control Project. So this flood control project, and then it was a guy who lives up here in Kanaha Valley, which is right next, the valley next to Lahaina Luna High School, where all the water source actually feeds into the intake up in Kanaha Valley, and it feeds Lahaina town. Hans Michael and Auntie Emily Niesman live in the valley, and they make sure the intake is clear so the water flows, and we receive water here for Lahaina. He, I recall back in the day, was very involved with this project, the Lahaina Flood Control Project. But it's in 5 phases, and most of the phases are completed. So what it does is, so Lahaina, as we know, runs along the shoreline. The area of damage is a 5-mile stretch of shoreline, which is all of Lahaina. And so you have to go Mauka. Above Lahaina, it's a mountain. The land slopes down to the ocean. So what happens, Mauka, as we know, affects Makai. Lahaina's Makai. So you need this flood control channel that runs basically parallel to the town of Lahaina. And like it would run parallel to the bypass road and existing highway, Highway 30, and it would capture after really huge flood events, rain events, right? This is what they call the 100-year, rain, the 200-year rain, whatever. Those types of events will come down, and it will just flood and take out all of Lahaina. Mud, debris, flood, everything. Everyone talks about how Lahaina is a wetland. It's already saturated underneath. It's already water anyways. So we need to capture the water, obviously, Malka, before it floods all of Lahaina. So if we're going to rebuild, we're going to make everything nice and pretty and put people back there. At this point in time, I feel like since the feds and all eyes are upon us, Lahaina, this is the best opportunity and time to bring this to their attention, that this flood control channel needs to be built out. We were in phase 5 of it, and I don't have to go into details, but I think right now, no, we need to look at the final section and get it done when we're discussing Lahaina. Because like I just explained, if we fix everything up, this rain event comes and it just floods everything anyways, it's going to be declared a disaster again. It's going to cost federal money again. It's going to be rinse, cycle, repeat, right? And why we need to mitigate that and avoid it. And this is how we can do it, is build out the Lahaina flood control channel. And I spoke to the past public works director and we have a West Maui Soil and Conservation District that was a part of it. So I have all the moving parts where we all need to come together to the table to discuss moving forward. But at the top of this food chain is the federal dollars that needs to assist us to make it happen. So that's something I really want to get involved with. Somebody, powers that be, can we talk about this? The Lahaina bypass, the flood control channel, and a reporting or documenting of every single penny of the federal money that came to Lahaina.
Yes, yes. Auditing,
There
definitely. Where is the money?
Penny, all of it. Break it down and share it widely, publicly, openly to everybody. That's what I personally want to see, but I believe everybody wants to see this.
Absolutely.
I hear that every single day. And that's why I believe Civil Beat's trying to do a series of articles about follow the money. I have so many different organizations. We think we need to hire somebody, an investigative reporter or investigative journalist, somebody to just track where's the money. I'm like, I hear you. So everyone's trying to figure out how do we get this, but that's our right.
Yeah.
As a citizen of this United States of America, to ask, where are our taxpayer dollars? Where is it? How did you spend it? Where, and they need to answer us. They need to answer us. There's no, we'll get back to you. We'll let you know when we need to let you know. No. We want to know now, because I'm still staring at Lahaina.
Yeah.
Thank you for clearing properties. Thank you for putting back infrastructure, water, sewer, power, and testing the soils, making sure things aren't contaminated, took away all the contaminated surfaces, whatever, and items. But now what? Here I'm just sitting at lots, just sitting there with gravel on top, and nothing else is moving forward. So
Yeah.
what's happening
And it's
there?
still in lockdown. Like I've said in the last video, it's
Yeah,
still in lockdown. People are
still in
supposed to
lockdown.
not video and film, which is against that's against our free speech. And super interesting that it's like that. It's like, what are you trying to hide? Because there's literally nothing. Maybe that's it. There's nothing happening. And
Yeah.
it is, yeah, it is absolutely cleared. It could definitely start. And I do have somebody in Lahaina who has gotten a permit. Do you know of other people who've gotten permits to rebuild?
No, not yet. And again, I mentioned this at a couple county meetings ago. You know, if you look at the entire whole of Lahaina, yeah, that's pretty unwieldy and a lot to bite off. But break it down then into sections. So first off, the very south end of Lahaina is a gated community. It's called Puamana. So Puamana, and in that in itself has its own, you know, dynamics and issues going on in that project. So deal with that, work it all out. And there are groups and people who are organizing and they want to get to the table to discuss their issues. And a lot of the long-term residential people in that community want to rebuild. There are full-time family residents. Then you have the other half, or at least 90% of the other half, that are along the shoreline. They never lost the building. All their units are still intact. And they're the short-term rental people, right? Those are the investment offshore people units. So the people who live here full-time near the highway, they're not on the beach, they're off the highway. They all burned down. They're gone.
Mhm.
And now there's just the gravel lots. They're all cleared. They're ready to go, actually. And here we are. They're just sitting there and they want to know, why can't they rebuild? And then you go outside of the gated community and you have another chunk of a little area, you know? So there's ways to go about this in bite-sized doable pieces, but I just don't see any of that being discussed, right? Shoreline is a big thing, the people on the beach. So just carve them out and deal with those people, right? And then Front Street runs all kind of like Kona, how the road runs along the ocean.
Mhm.
It resembles Kona, to me, Front Street does. And then you have the opposite, the shoreline properties. So deal with them, you know?
Yep.
And you come to Lahaina town, which is like, you know, downtown Kona
Yeah.
you know, Billy's and the, you know, the two-story restaurants and shops and stuff. It's very
Yeah.
similar. And now you just talk to the business people, the business owners along on the shoreline and across the street from the shoreline. Two different worlds, two
Yeah.
different situations, really. So just, you know, break it into sections. I don't, I don't know. And I am talking to the business owners who is saying just this. We're not the ones on the ocean. We're the ones across the street.
Yeah.
We feel like we could have a better chance at rebuilding sooner, quicker, because we're not in the ocean, literally. We're across. And I'm like, hey, I agree with you. Let's talk about it. But they just have not had anybody
It is
reach
so
out.
weird too, because it's like a year later, over a year now, almost 13 months coming up here. And it's and to not start to rebuild, and that it is just, it's mind-boggling around that. And so we were talking about that they are having this meeting, and I will put the link in the description for people to see where it's at. And also, but it says that you have to submit your comments or questions, and it's hard to find the link. So I'd love for you to send me that if you can find it. But this is so interesting. Session announces field hearing of Hawaii on federal response to Maui wildfires. So the FEMA, there was a big old media thing on the FEMA workers being in hotels that were really nice and luxurious. That just blows my mind that that is even, and us taxpayers are paying for that, or did pay for that, for them to stay there and then work with the people. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, first off, I didn't appreciate that all the hotel from day. So I came back after the fire the very next day, you know, when I was able to infiltrate back in. And it was an announcement that, yeah, people can be staying, hotels are opening up rooms for the displaced. Oh, awesome. This woman, disabled, has a service dog and all that. So I go, get in my truck. I'm going to take you to a hotel room, right? Because she was sleeping on the sidewalk in front of Ross's at Lahaina Gateway. She was living on the sidewalk right there. I'm like, get in my truck. I'm taking you down there. They said they have rooms for the displaced. So I drive her down there with her dog. And I go to the Westin first because they mentioned Westin in the article or report newscast or something. And the front portion has a guy at the front. And I'm like, yeah, hi. I understand you have rooms open for the displaced, and I have a lady here and disabled, and she has her dog. He goes, where's your pass, or where's your card? I go, what card? He's like, well, yeah. I'm like, no one talked about a card. I go, so since I have her all the way here right now, can you take her and house her, and I'll go get the card for you, whatever, wherever this is and how, whatever. And he's like, no, she can't come in unless you have this card. I go, but I have her right here and she needs a place. She's been sleeping on a sidewalk in Lahaina. Can you, and no, no, no. And so then I go down the I go to the next hotel, and I kept going, every hotel in Kaanapali Resort, every hotel after that one said, there is no rooms for displaced. I go, well, that's what the county just announced, or whoever announced. And he goes, they're all taken up by FEMA. I'm like, what? I go, wait. So this entire hotel right now has no space for displaced people in Lahaina because it's all these people who came in to help us, but they're taking up rooms where we can't put our people living on sidewalks in? Serious. That is what they told me. And I went to every single property in Kaanapali Beach Resort, from Kaanapali Beach Hotel to the Sheraton to the Hyatt to the Marriott to I went to them all. And I had to drive her back and put her back on the sidewalk.
Oh my gosh.
Think, yeah, okay, that was just the day after the fire that I went through that one living example with FEMA. And yeah, so it goes on and on, but
yeah, I have, and this is exactly what I watched on the news as well. That is heartbreaking. And then just going back to a year later, have you contacted, do you have any contact with that lady again? Where is she at? Is she still on the island? Or I don't know if
yeah, she is. Yeah, she's okay. I mean, most of the people, I mean, they're okay. They don't have permanent solutions. Everything's a temporary this, a temporary that, which is very yeah. I mean, she lived in a state housing, and that was one of my main next question was looking at all our state lands as a state representative, looking at our state lands, and what are we doing to rebuild, to rehouse, to take care of the most neediest people that is our kuleana as state. And the answer back to me was, well, and this is our lots in Lahaina. And they're like, well, we're looking at it and we're trying to get everybody together to decide on one big plan. Like, okay, well, let's get to it. What does that mean? And anyways, today, as we sit here, the lots are cleared. All right, lots are cleared. Let's get some foundations going. Let's start building vertical and get our people housed. I don't know where everyone is at, and people are just trying to survive. At the end of the day, everyone's just trying to survive. One of the other, I have to share this now since it's in my head currently, is an issue that I will bring up to them, and I believe I sent it in on their portal, whatever the hell. In Lahaina, so private properties were managed under U.S. Army Corps, and this isn't FEMA, but U.S. Army Corps is still a federal entity. It was managed for debris cleanup and all this stuff, right? And also trees, about tree removals, tree protection, and all that. So everything on county property was done by the county arborist. He could say this tree looks good, this tree doesn't. U.S. Army Corps went in, obviously, in the first 2 months, and they ran around town and tagged trees. In 2 months, everything looked dead. Everything was burnt. Everything was dead. So everything was tagged to take down, to cut down, to remove, right? Within few weeks after the burn, obviously, nothing's growing back yet. But fast forward a few months later, 6 months, a year later, a lot of growth is coming back on a lot of our trees and greeneries coming back. So but those trees are still tagged for cut down, right? Because the tags are put in way early in the day. Everything was still so fresh from the fire. So they didn't give it time, to see if it truly is alive or not. So anyways, so my one property owner in Lahaina signed a waiver. They had three beautiful mango trees, like 100-year-old plus mango trees. It fed everybody. It was tons of mangoes. And she signed a waiver to not cut them down. It's her private property. It's her private trees. Nobody should touch it. Her word is do not touch it. Well, not too long ago, because we drive by there all the time, heading towards the church and stuff, and they're gone. Her 3 mango trees. And when we made the phone call, I mean, she just can't even go back to her property. Not only did they lose home, everything on the property, but now the last surviving thing are gone too now, which didn't need to be, right? So who the hell was in charge of that? And I called the county arborist. He said that was an Army Corps call. Private property is under their purview, not county. And he said, thankfully, he was called in later in the game to really suss out all the trees. Like I said, early on, they tagged everything dead. Well, a few months later, things are starting to show some sign of life. Thank God, the county arborist said, listen, no, you need to remove the tag that says kill it, because if there's any inkling that it may survive, just leave it there and see what happens, And so he was able to save a lot of things, but then a lot of things were like these mango trees were cut and gone. We can't replace a 100-year-old mango tree. Top of 3 of them. I mean, it's just, I won't ever see that tree in my lifetime. Hello. But, so one of my things, and there's another person from Lahaina, the Ahi family, they want to restore Lahaina mango trees throughout town. And I totally agree, and 100%. So I'm trying to find seeds, because there are still some trees around, and just start making little, saplings, and start sprouting and propagating. And when people come home, they want to have a Lahaina mango. I don't want mangoes from anywhere else, but we want to repropagate our Lahaina mangoes and put them back, on the properties.
Wow.
So that happened, and that was through the Army Corps, which is just, so you can't take that back. I mean, we can't undo that. It's like extinction.
I can't, that's like a slap in the
talk
face.
about trauma on top of trauma, right? Trauma on top of trauma, loss on top of loss. Like, wait, what happened just now? And that, I'm like, I don't know,
especially when she signed something that literally said, do not cut these down. That is
right.
She's got a lawsuit there. She's got some type of lawsuit there.
That's what I said. I said, you need to sue. I mean, who wants to get tied up in court? I go, but that is something that's wrong. That is so wrong. And
especially, and one thing I love about, go ahead.
No, but it's just like, it's made her, she's so beyond distraught that she can't even look at the land. She's just like, so, it's just sad. But
so is there any action that people can take to support, or even just locals? What would work, or even around this? I mean, what is this hearing in Hawaii on federal response? It's just, again, I mean, it should be also a hearing on the local response, because the whole Maui Emergency Center, that was a whole show of itself.
I guess the mayor will be, again, I don't know how this is going to work. Okay. Again, there's like this panel 1, and when you click on the thing and it opens up on the agenda, I guess it is, or something, or how that hearing's going to progress, it says panel 1, and it has all the lists of the Congressional Oversight Committee members. Okay, that's the feds and again, I think they'll probably be in DC at 4 o'clock having their hearing, which will air to us. Here, there's a panel with the mayor, with Hawaii Community Foundation, which a lot of people are questioning their funding and the trickle down of where those monies went and blah, blah, blah. So that entity, there's going to be Lahaina Town Action Committee, Sneh Patel, he's, I think, the president for that, which the issue I have with them was early on, they had this meeting over at the Ritz-Carlton in Kapalua. And I never heard of it myself, but it was aired on the news or TV or something. And I saw that the governor was there, maybe the mayor, I don't know. There was these other elected officials, Linda Coy. I mean, just people who were like, what, how are they associated with Lahaina, number one? And then it was held in the Ritz-Carlton ballroom, and it's supposed to be all about Lahaina businesses. But I started getting phone calls, text messages. We're here at the ballroom in Kapalua at the Ritz-Carlton, and we're not allowed in the room. I'm like, why? And they're like, we don't know why. We heard about this meeting having to do with Lahaina businesses, and we're Lahaina businesses. There's like 12 to 15 of them who are not allowed in the ballroom. So I'm watching this thing on the news, and they were told that there's no room. There's no room in the ballroom for you to come in. It's like people are standing up on the aisles, and what do you mean? The ballroom is far from being full.
It's huge.
And then, yeah, and then I called the Lahaina Town Action people. I'm like, what is happening? Why are Lahaina business not allowed in? Oh, you need to be a member of Lahaina Town Action Committee. I said, a member? That's not what the invite says. It talks about Lahaina businesses. Doesn't say you have to be a member.
Yeah.
And so then I go, but why can't you let these people in and they can become members? Have them sign up as a member then after the fact, but let them be participating in this meeting about Lahaina businesses moving forward, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's what happened there with that entity. So
when was that? When did that happen?
I can't recall, but it was like it was, I don't know, probably a few months after the fire or something. I can't really recall. It was way early on. I remember that happening. So the president of that entity will be on this witness panel, right? So, okay. And then the other is Na'aikane o Maui, which I don't know what the name, I mean, Na'aikane means I eat Kane man. So,
yeah.
They had an office down in Lahaina town, which was made to collect a bunch of kind of like an archives place of trying to get people back on their lands, royal patents, land commission awards, all this historical document paperwork and stuff. And the group, which originally the head people are not of Lahaina or this island, but have have infiltrated on a lot of levels, Cultural Resource Commission, with Westpac, Ahamoku Council, a lot of different cultural things having to do with the state and all this. And now fast forward to today, they said that they have like 5 different federal contracts. I don't know what they are or what they're about, but one of them is, being archaeological monitors in Lahaina. And, they brag how they control all the way from Puamana down to Waihikuli. And, I feel like a lot of times they've been really racist with white people in Lahaina.
Ellie, how far is that? Like, what is that?
So if Lahaina is 5 mile stretch of shoreline, so yeah, about 7 miles worth of land space, I suppose, something like that. So that's a big swath, and I feel like it's being like patrolled like Gestapo roadblocks, and I don't know. It's just a really, like you said, it's locked down. It is locked down still.
Still,
Yeah.
a year later,
A majority of it is cleared, right? So soils have been tested. It's not, most contamination has been removed.
Yeah.
So what is happening here? Like, why? I get it. There's no town to go shopping in, or, I mean, I don't know.
But there's no construction either. There's like nothing's
And there's
going
no
on.
construction. Oh, well, they are restoring Lahaina Shores, which is the hotel, but
Yeah, I saw that.
so, okay, they're doing
Yeah.
that, but I don't know. What about everything else? There was a meeting at the harbor the other day. Finance committee, which I'm a member of the state finance committee, decided to have a site inspection meeting with all the West Maui, my district, West Maui harbors, boat ramps, but I'm not invited. I asked.
What in
And
the
it's,
world?
yeah, and the harbor people, the head division of DOBOR, the Department of Boating and Recreation and Resources, whatever, they were like, we just assume you're there, Ellie. Why aren't you there? You need to be there. I go, I would like to be there, but I'm not invited. And I asked. And they're like, but you're the only one who has been in touch with us for the past 2
Yeah,
years.
that's
You
right.
have been involved with us, asking us what our needs are, doing site inspections with us down at the harbors, walking every inch and knowing everything that needs to be done. And like, why aren't you at the, I'm like, good question. Why? I'm not. So what I'm asking of the committee, that finance committee office, is, can I get a report then? At least clue me in of what you observed, what your takeaway is, what your plans are moving forward, because I prevail in my election come January when the session opens up. I would like to fight for the needs of the harbor. And if you, finance chair, agree on certain things, then let us work together on that. You know, to
Nice.
have a common goal and voice. That's all I want. I'm just here to work with. I'm not here to poke holes in people's plans or ideas. I'm here to work with. But I'm not
Yes.
going to know what you're thinking and talking about if you're not bringing me to the table for discussion. That's it. I
Yeah,
don't know.
and you're a huge stand for the Lahaina people. Like I remember, and I'll the governor's first words out of his mouth, after the fire, were, I'm looking for ways for the state to acquire the land for workforce housing. Do you believe that that's happening? That's what
No,
he said. Oh, thank
not
God.
at all.
Good.
No, and that's a total, out of his mouth, that's a total fallacy. And I went through your book, and it's like, why is the first thing out of your mouth about buying up lands?
Yeah,
What is
exactly.
that about? What is that? That in itself is a red flag and a
Huge.
huge ass question mark. Because for me, my first question is, how can I keep Lahaina people back, get them back to Lahaina? I was trying to get my own ass back to Lahaina, and I was getting roadblocked out. Back to Lahaina, living back on their lots in Lahaina. How do we do this? Get the businesses of Lahaina back in business, back harbor back in action, whatever. And that's not the first question though. And that's not the priority, it seems. So what is the bigger picture plan? So here's another thing that's going to get you, and I don't know if I brought it up to you, but I'll send you the invite, which was actually BCC'd to me. So I don't think I was supposed to have been invited, but I showed up. Anyways, and it is about this group at NREL, National Renewable Energy Laboratory. So there was a meeting for in Lahaina, and it's about this national renewable energy lab that's supposed to reassess all of Lahaina and see how they can make us, the role model, or the knight in shining armor for renewable energies.
Oh, that's
And it's in your book.
I know. Yeah.
All across Lahaina. And so I show up at this meeting where I knew the people's faces were like, oh, what is she doing here thing? But I went straight up to the facilitators, the people, NREL, there are two other entities. And I'm like, hi, so why are you here? Who brought you here? Oh, we're not state or county. This is the federal government. I go, and that's even more so red flags. Like, you're walking in here as the feds, not notifying state or county people. Not like, wait, okay. I'm like, okay. And again, what do you do? What's your plan here? Well,
Mm-hmm.
we've asked Lahaina Strong to reach out to community, Lahaina community to gather community. And I'm thinking, but this is the gather. This is the gather right here. Very close, select people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually technically not on the list to be here. So, but I'm here. I'm here. And here's my card. And please keep me in touch with future meetings and future things you're doing. And it was like yeah, so they said that the Secretary of Energy, Department of Energy, I forget the name, but she's with the federal government, the head person, was here or something after the fires and told them, National and NREL, to come back and start these discussions and meetings to make Lahaina this big renewable town.
And see
And
what people, yeah, I just want to pop in here real quick because the book, and I'm just going to share with you guys. I know a lot of people, I think it's already sold over 1,000 copies. Great Maui Land Grab. You can get it at greatmauilandgrabbook.com. It's also up for Book of the Year, and it's up for about a few different book awards. And you can also get it on Amazon as well. But I recommend greatmauilandgrabbook.com. The reason why is because in this, it also shares a lot about how renewable energy is not the narrative that we've been given. You know, the banking elite families, they have invested in this renewable energy, and a lot of it is going to actually cost people more money. It's actually can be more dangerous, and there's actually experts that literally talk about it. I mean, you know, just for an example, Tesla car takes 2 hours to put out a fire for a Tesla car that's on fire versus a gas car. That's just one example. There's been ships that have actually burned down and sunk because they've actually had these renewable energy cars on them that caught fire and they couldn't put them out. And so this renewable energy is not the big story, that the big narrative that they're sharing with us. And this is very concerning. And I'm super glad that you shared this on this video, because it doesn't surprise me that that's happening, but what's really good is that more people are understanding what is happening and what's coming for not just Lahaina, but for all of us, and including Big Island. And one thing that I love about what happened with our Big Island planning department, our general plan, which was over 200 pages long, had the word stakeholder written in it 47 times, had the word homeowner written 0 times. We actually testified, so this is the power of standing together. We actually testified against that and showed the planning department what it is that we want, and they've actually changed the Hawaii general plan. You guys, this is the power we have together. So if you haven't joined standtogetherhawaii.com, please go to that site. You can get the book, greatmauilandgrabbook.com. And Ellie, I just thank you so much for not just speaking out and telling the truth of what's happening over there in Maui, but also just being a stand for the people, because not many legislative bodies or people in government right now are really a stand like you are for the Lahaina people, for Maui, and just says a lot about you. And I just really appreciate that. Appreciate you.
Well, and thank you. I appreciate you too, and the willingness to, talk with me, video me, and get my voice out there, because I do speak on behalf of a lot of people who are here, who are being stifled and hindered and basically not even cared about, because they're packing up and having to leave our town every day because they just can't afford to sit and wait. And I was talking to another group just yesterday, and it's about this concept came about, and I think it fits the picture of what I see and feel is happening. It's corporate colonization that's happening here.
That's right. That is absolutely right.
Right? Corporate
Yes.
colonization, and sorry, colonialism.
Mhm.
And
But
it's
I
like
love the word corporate. I love the word corporate too.
the corporate part. Oh, sorry. Um,
And I love the word corporate because
so
they're
the
actually,
corporate, yeah,
what I want to
corporate
just,
colonization. That's what
because
it is.
exactly, because what they're doing too with the farmers here is they're wanting to corporatize farmers. And some farmers, they just grow food for themselves and give it away if they have extra food, but they want farmers to actually, in order to get a tax reduction, they want them to I have to look at this again, but what it was prior through Heather Kimball on the Big Island is that small farmers, no matter how big your acreage is, it could be 1 acre or 200 acres, and if you had to show that you make $2,000 of income a year, which a small farmer, they're not gonna make that like on 1 acre, but in order to get a tax reduction, they were gonna have to show that, and that's corporatizing farmers. They want you to license your chickens and your cows and all of this corporatization. And I do want to tell people we do have a way out of this. We really, really do. And I'm learning more about it every day. And it's standtogetherhawaii.com. You don't have to live on the islands to join, and this is going to affect you as well. It just doesn't just affect the Hawaiian Islands. It seems like what happens in Hawaii first then goes to the mainland. So please do join standtogetherhawaii.com. But Ellie, what were you also going to say?
Yeah, so I think this concept of corporate colonialism is really key to what I see happening here, but we can go into that another time. The other thing is that energy group I spoke to, I had just somehow on HPR heard this whole talk about nickel, the resource nickel that is, the brunt of it is in Indonesia, the country of Indonesia. And Indonesia understands this. This is how we create our batteries.
Yeah.
Right? All the solar and everything. So one of the key ingredients, they have the stronghold on it. And so it was talked about how they want to ban exporting of that resource. So then our entire world who wants to go renewable and all this fun, happy stuff, will be beholden to Indonesia and China. And that's just going to talk about corporate control over all of us. So again, like you said, there is detrimental and negative effects. We need to really weigh it out. So I told that NREL people, they're national federal people, I said, are you keeping track of stuff like this? Because this is going to affect us all, not just our little town of Lahaina, but I'm talking our country as a whole, talking about all this renewable, let's move forward into the future stuff, right?
Yep.
But if two countries are controlling that one piece that needs to manufacture these products that we're all talking about, we need to buy into and hook up to. How's that going to work? How's that looking?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, good point you bring up, Ellie. We do look at things like that. I'm like, okay, just was wondering because I'm like thinking way big picture, and here we are. They're just like, here's Lahaina, merciless sun, solar, solar, solar. Okay, but what about the products? And where are they coming from? What makes them? What? All that.
Yep. All of it. It's a big, big story. So the last thing that we're going to do is pray, because I always pray because that's what we have to do right now. It's not just speaking out, it's also connecting to this higher power that is running the show here. And Ellie, I just want to say one more time, thank you for this information. If you guys are watching this, standtogetherhawaii.com, because I do send out actions for the Hawaiian Islands, but also you can model them for your own area. It doesn't mean you have to be on the United States of America. People from all over the country have actually helped Lahaina. They've actually submitted different affidavits, which I am going to be doing another affidavit to the governor, and there is another action that is going to be going, because I do feel, and I'm not the only one, that Maui was attacked and it needs to be investigated, and that's not going to go by the wayside on my watch. But anyway, let's go ahead and pray. Oh, divine creator, infinite intelligence of all things, you're running the show here. We know that. And our little bodies and little being in these human vessels, seeing what we see, and it can look really scary, but we know, Great Spirit, we know that you are in charge, and you're the one that's guiding every single one of us. And in that, we are not afraid. We trust in you, Great Spirit. We know that all of those who do not value human life, who do not value freedom for people, are peaceably being removed from power, or they're voluntarily stepping down. And Great Spirit, we get to watch as that unfolds. And I just give so much gratitude to all of the entities that are guiding those people to peaceably be removed from power or voluntarily step down. So, so grateful for that. And also so grateful for those who are speaking out, like Ellie Cochran, who is our state representative here on the Hawaii Islands. And I just know that she is always protected and always guided and always kept safe in all ways. And that magic is unfolding because of her actions, that there is an audit happening in the state, that the truth is unfolding, that the light of on Lahaina is so, so bright, that the truth is unfolding in every single aspect. It cannot stay hidden. And Great Spirit, Divine Creator, I just know that this is happening, and we get to watch as we move toward a world of truth and of peace and of harmony, that the people in Lahaina are not forgotten, that they can return to their houses, that they are rebuilding, that the permits are being given out, and that people like the woman who is disabled, that she is supported in ways that she knows and in ways that she doesn't know. In Great Spirit, I just know that that is happening, and I'm so grateful to be able to have the opportunity to watch as things unfold for the better all over the planet. And we just know that it is done. And we know that the consciousness of Jesus Christ, which is the infinite love, is always surrounding us. We just know that that is done, Great Spirit. And so it is.
Thanks. My dog jumped
Mahalo.
out.
Oh, of course. He felt the love. He felt the love. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, just send, you know, to text me anytime, Ellie, and so much
Yeah.
mahalo to you.
Same here. Okay,
All
take
right.
care. Love.
Aloha. Bye.
Bye.